Okay, how are you?
All right. Call this select board meeting to order by roll call.
Kilcoyne, present.
Smith present.
Cranston present. And all that can. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all. Thank you all. You gentlemen had a chance to read the minutes?
I have.
Okay, and any changes I had, I sent off to comma and they have already been incorporated. Everybody else all set? If so, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from June 22nd.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Kilcoyne, aye.
Smith, aye.
Cranston, aye. Okay, and seeing our rec director is here, we will start off with her. If you'd like to come to the podium and introduce yourself.
Sherry Gonzorsek, Recreation Director. Recreation's in full swing. Summer started last week with our Super Safari program where we actually put the kids on buses and took them off property. We went to venues, we ate out, we mingled with other people, it was great. Summer concerts started tonight. The Summer Lake program actually kicked off this week as well, where we've spent the mornings at the beach and in the afternoon we've gone off to venues. Today they went to the movies, they enjoyed some popcorn and watched the Despicable Me with the Minions. Next week our programs are all starting over at the school, our sports programs. We're starting off with volleyball, which is a new program for Sterling. We had beach volleyball last week and it was great. A lot of high schoolers took in that program, which is not a group that we normally get at summer, so that was really great. We'll finish up with 3 weeks of kid tennis. Currently we have an adult tennis going on for this month, so that's another new venture. The lake is doing awesome. The 4th of July, it was busy but not crazy. Everybody was grilling and having a great time, behaving themselves. The kids doing the parking lot actually told me this is probably the best 4th of July that they've ever worked. One of the things that we did different this year is I made signs that said permit parking strictly enforced. We put them in sawhorses and we lined them up down Hall Ave. Every day over the weekend I was on property for probably about an hour each day just to check on things. I literally saw 3 to 5 cars turn around and go back up the road before they even got to the parking lot because they didn't have a parking permit. So I will be putting forth the proper paperwork to see if I can't get some signage put down on that road to that effect, saying that the permit parking is in effect. And due to the hard work of Bill and Sterling Fire Department and the DPW, we have new flotation devices being attached to the raft, so the raft can be put in hopefully in the next week. They start putting the new flotations on today. And that's recreation.
That's it?
That's it. There's nothing else going on. I'm actually not that busy.
Okay, good.
How's the lifeguard situation down here, Cheryl?
Lifeguards are great. We've got 9 lifeguards. The Recreation Committee voted a month or so ago to pay for water safety instruction for up to 4 kids to do that, so we put them for that. So we actually now have 5 water safety instructors to teach the swim lessons during the day, which is great. We have a rotation. We have extras for when those groups are larger in the water.
Kind of a random question, but are dogs not allowed down there after hours or?
Dogs are not allowed on the property at all.
At all?
Yeah, it was written in the bylaws, never really enforced. With the work that Dick has been working so hard on getting the grants that we're going to be improving, we have been enforcing it a little bit more this year. We did put up some signs saying that no dogs were allowed. We're trying to be soft to the fact that they are family members to a lot of people, and my dogs are my family members. So we're telling them if they want to go into the water, go over by the boat ramp, go in the water and out. You cannot stay on the property. So we're letting them take a dip and then they have to leave.
Okay. It's good to know.
So
That's fair.
We're trying to do the best we can. There was a lot of, I don't know what the right word to use, but poop on the property from the dogs, whether it was cleaned up and left in plastic bags all over the property or just not picked up at all. And that was what kind of prompted us to really start to crack down on it. We've gotten a lot of pushback, so we've tried to work with the people saying in and out, and that's it. If we keep on having a problem, then we'll just have to say no.
Yeah, okay. I think that's fair.
That is one of the complaints that I had heard from people about the beach, is the dogs.
the
Because
dogs.
a lot of the kids are afraid of them. And I get that some people think that these are family members, but, you know, unless they have a life jacket and booties on, no. David?
How's the vandalism situation going?
Since we've been on property so much the last few weeks, it's been less. Sterling Police Department has been making it a point when people come on shifts that they are circling through the property and checking on things. So in the last few weeks, it's been much better, but we are on property from 8 to 8, you know, so that's helped.
How about passes, Sherry? People are not getting passes for the season, they're just getting them for a day or a week, and it's not always the same people, I'm hoping?
So our guest passes,
Yeah.
we are giving them for no longer than 2 weeks. So, because we have people who come in and they visit their family for 2 weeks, or a grandparent is picking up their grandchild from our Summer Lake program, and those programs run for 2 weeks at a time. So we give them for no more than 2 weeks. And yes, they are pretty much the same people are getting them repetitively.
Yeah.
They're kind of like on a cycle where they automatically send us a new request before their current pass is out.
That needs to be curtailed.
Okay.
In that the beach is for the town's residents, that's who pays for it.
So the question has been asked to me if there is a limit of how many guest passes you can actually get. The answer to that is now going to be yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get, you know, for the grandparents for that 2 weeks, you know, that's okay, fine, but to issue, you know, Dick Mackey a pass for 2 weeks, and then by the end of that 2 weeks, he comes in and asks for another 2 weeks, the answer really should be no.
Okay.
It's not their lake, and unless there's a problem, but again, the questions are, you know, so-and-so is down here all the time, and she does not live in town, or he does not live in town.
And I get that a lot, and I know exactly whom they're speaking to, because we do have people that clockwork apply for a new one.
All right, so the answer is no.
Okay.
I mean, we went through this even before you were on, where one gentleman would, you know, wanted a pass because a lot of people in Sterling go to his business, which is in Clinton. You know, it's like, good for you, that's nice. So you come to the lake because what? You know, and it couldn't, yeah. So there's a lot of reasons people ask for them, but the answer really should be, gee, sorry.
Okay.
So there's that, and then, okay, my other question was about lifeguards. You're all set now.
I am all set with lifeguards.
All right. People should understand that it probably costs a little bit more this year for the last lifeguards because other people were looking and paying a lot more money than we were
Right.
back in the day. And then the last question I have is, do you have any openings, this is for the general public, in any of your swim programs and after?
All programs are open.
You still have openings?
Yes, I have registrations are open on everything. The only thing that is filling up and possibly closing is one of the tennis programs, but there's still 2 others that are open, and our art program has a...
That was rude.
Our program has a cap of 10, and the older version is closed, the younger kids is still open.
It is good news that you have some of the high schoolers getting involved in some of the programs because that's always been the discussion with recreation. How can we attract these
Right.
kids?
Right.
So that's a good thing. All right, anything you need from us?
Just when I put through the paperwork for those signs down at the beach for the permitted parking, just push it right through.
We'll give you a nice big P. Any extra?
A P with a line through it, because we don't want them parking there.
Oh, it's a
It's a
different.
red one, not a blue one.
All right. Okay, anybody else have any questions for Sherry? Otherwise, she's gonna run over to the park to her band
To
concert.
the band concert that's going on.
All right, thank you so much, Sherry.
Thank you.
Okay, Sean, is anybody else coming in with you, or is it just you? No, me? Wow. Okay then. Why don't we skip right down to you, seeing you're here?
That would be lovely. Appreciate that. Which one do you want to start with?
The appointment of the acting sergeant for the police department?
Okay, so the last 3 promotions we had, Chief Chamberlain made an acting sergeant to take care of some of the workload from the other 2 sergeants, pay slips, reports, go-to person, things like that. So, cut to the chase, I'm here asking you to appoint Tim Plouffe as acting sergeant until I can get the process through. The applications to me close, I think, Friday. Then we're going to give them a couple months to study for the test, some interview process. So it's going to take me till, I'm thinking, the first or second week of October to get somebody in. So Tim's been with us since 2004. He's worked hard. He's a smart officer. He's already on the shift that it's going to be, the vacancy is going to be open. So it's kind of a no-brainer. So in short, I'd be asking you to appoint Tim Plouffe acting sergeant until we can conclude the process.
Is anybody else going for the position?
I have 4, I'm expecting 5 currently, so.
So this is just an interim thing for
Correct.
Tim?
Which we've done for, ever since I got promoted in 2003, and then the 2 after that, we've done an acting sergeant, so
Okay.
it's pretty commonplace.
Any questions, Joe?
How long would this be enforced for?
I think I didn't check when your next meeting is in October, but it's either gonna be the first or second week in October. I expect to present a full-time candidate.
Yeah.
So it'll be just over 3 months, I believe.
Good.
David?
There's an increase in his pay for this.
It is, they do get the
Budgeted.
the sergeant, it's included, because it would have been my position, so it's already there.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion that we appoint Tim Plouffe as the acting sergeant for the police department until all have the ability to take the test, and probably won't happen until October.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Kilcoyne, aye.
Smith, aye.
Krantz and I. All right. What
And
about Tim?
secondarily, last time I was here, we talked about funding for the lieutenant's position. Met with Mr. Caldwell. I also spoke with the union, even though it wouldn't be a union position, just to get their feeling on it with Sergeant Fugere. And we've kind of come to the conclusion that the 6%, which would be comparable with the detective and the corporal's position that's already in the contract, would be an agreeable figure. I made a little graphic that you can see there. Right now, I rounded up to $8,000. So the position in the next couple of years would be $8,082 or $8,400. And if you look below in the green, including that position, with the current budget that we have and the one would have been anticipated if Chief Chamberlain had stayed, not only do I give back money this year, I would continue to give back more money because his number was higher at the 3% on top of that. I wouldn't anticipate that position coming into effect until after the first sergeant's position. So my goal would probably be January. So that number would actually, the first give back would actually be almost doubled to $8,000 because it'd be 6 months without that. But it's, again, as I said a couple weeks ago, it's all included under the current budget. I need no more money from the town. We already have it. I guess as the appointing authority, I'm looking for your approval to move forward that you would actually appoint it, because we have it, the position has already been voted on, and I just need to know that you guys would appoint someone if I go through the process to select someone.
And we had discussed that it didn't really fall in the salary schedule through the compensation study, so it would kind of fall into a personal rate just because of the way it lines up with their contract and whatnot.
One number in this study is too high, one's too low.
In between grades, so.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I mean, this was discussed as part of the contract, so it's just a matter of when it gets off and running. And what date would that be again, Chief?
So I've been analyzing a couple different, Northborough has a accredited police department, and they have a lieutenant's process that I'm probably going to mirror. So I probably want to get that underway in a couple of months, so that way we could get the sergeant in first, promote the lieutenant, and then there'd be a second sergeant promotion off of this current list that I'm making with the testing process. So I wouldn't anticipate having anybody in that position until 2023, early January.
Okay. Okay.
I'm good, I'm comfortable with the position.
And the money.
Yes. Well, you already spoke that it's budgeted for it, so
Right.
there's no sense in questioning that, I guess.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion. What, you got
I
something
don't know
else?
if we need to vote or not, but I guess we do, right?
Yeah, to have Sean move forward
Right,
with
okay.
the lieutenant process.
Yeah, I move that.
Seconded.
Third. Anyway, Cranston, aye. All right, thanks, Sean.
Thank you. Anything else I can do for you while I'm here?
Just might want to get your name tagged for being, changing to the harassment.
I'll get yours too.
Now,
Thank you. Have a good night.
as long as it's under $50.
Okay, thank you.
No, it's did.
Kind of.
Just
I think
did.
there was a motion and a second and then a Cranston aye, right? I don't know.
This guy said, yeah, okay.
Smith, aye.
That's an aye.
Gotcha.
Catch up.
It's not the first time that's happened. Just, today it was.
All right, and Mr. Bevenzi is here to talk to us with regards to the number 6 item on our agenda, which is the building permit fee for Northgate. I'm not sure if you
For the
gentlemen...
record, Tom Bevenzi for the applicant, Northgate Metals. I have a little package, I don't know if you have anything in front of you. Just to kind of,
Just the letter that you sent over to me.
okay, then maybe, and that might do it.
Yeah,
If we need anything further, I may have that. So this development, Northgate Metals LLC, as you may be familiar, is a 40B affordable housing project. It started a few years ago, actually several years ago. The total project consists of 3 buildings now, each of which is 72 units, and 18 units in each building will be affordable. So when the first building permit was issued several years ago, the formula that the town used at that time resulted in a fee of around $50,000. The town since changed its method of calculating commercial building code fees, which would result in a sizable increase to that. My client is petitioning the Zoning Board of Appeals to waive the added increases in fees which is allowed under regulations for affordable housing. And I believe a hearing on that is scheduled next week. So in the interim, what my client was proposing is that he would pay, and he's interested in starting the building number 2 right now. Actually, the foundation has already been put in. And building number 1 is completed and fully rented, all 72 units. So he would propose to pay the same fee pursuant to the same structure that was in place at the initiation of the project, when the construction project started. He would then proceed in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals and request at a public hearing their consideration of potentially waiving any additional fees over above that or making some adjustment. And what he would do is he would enter in a payment plan with the town at this time, whereby he would pay the $50,000 for the permit for building number 2, and then he would pay any additional excess after the public hearing is held on his request for the waiver. So essentially it's a proposal for a building permit. It's not unusual for communities to have payment plans, so this payment plan would be same amount in full as what was charged for the first building. The second building is identical to the first building. Allow a client to proceed in front of the public hearing, as is allowed under the state regulations for affordable housing, to request consideration of a waiver. To the extent that's granted, or if there's some portion of it granted, he would then pay the difference, if any, in the increased fee based on the new formula that the town has for building permits for commercial buildings. So,
okay. It's kind of different that you would come to us first before you went to the ZBA.
we were asked to come in front of this board because we were told that
I don't have the authority to make that
and
decision.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yeah.
we proposed it's not unusual, but we proposed a payment plan to your building commissioner first. He suggested that he didn't have the authority to do it. your town administrator suggested he didn't have the authority to do it, so we're told that we should come in front of this board to ask it. And again, all we're asking for is an interim payment plan for a week or two until we have the opportunity to make the hearing in front of the public board. So this board's not making any determination relative to whether the fee would be lowered, could be lowered, waived in part, in whole, under the state regulations for affordability, but it's allowing the permit to be issued at this time with a payment of the full amount that was paid for the first permit, and then a subsequent amount in the event the waiver results in additional monies being due for the building permit. That's right. So it's a payment plan we're asking for.
All right, so you're asking us to say yes to the building permits that were the same for the first building. Yes to that, but then all of our fees have gone up for all contractors, for
Right,
their otherwise. So we wouldn't reduce.
Right, so we're not asking this board to reduce anything. All we're asking for is a payment plan where we pay part now, and in the event our waiver is not granted by the zoning board, so it's not, the zoning board, as you know, has the jurisdiction to deal with affordable housing under the comprehensive permit statute and laws. So you're not waiving anything, but what you are doing is allowing a partial payment now. So sometimes in construction, a contractor will issue a partial payment for the foundation, for example. They get a foundation permit, or they'll issue partial payments. In other communities, building commissioners have, by my experience, entered into payment plans. So what we're asking for is for this board to allow us to have the opportunity to have the public hearing. Permit will issue today upon payment of the $50,000. And application of a waiver is in another board's jurisdiction, whether they do or they don't. If they don't do it, then my client would pay the balance due under your fee schedule, after the hearing, basically. So it's a payment plan that we're asking for, at this time, this board to approve, some now and some later, basically.
John?
I don't think, I don't know of any hardship or I haven't heard of any reason why a lower fee would be granted. I don't have a problem with the payment plan, but as long as it's not forfeiting the overall increase, I don't see the increase going away, because that's going to apply to all contractors from the date it was enacted. And now if the zoning board came up with a different recommendation, but I don't think they're going to.
Right, no, understood. So we're not asking this board to make that determination. So all we're asking for is to allow us the opportunity to present that case. If the zoning board decides, and as Member Kilcoyne points out, they're not, they're not going to waive it, or they may waive it in part, or they may apply a different formula. Whatever they do, they do. So we're asking. We'd like to get construction going, and so we've been waiting for a month or so, and all we're saying is that, and it's within their jurisdiction, and I think your council pointed that out to your building commissioner, basically town council. So we're not asking for any waivers from this board, just to be clear. We're just allowing my client to be able to go pull the building permit, pay the $50,000. If it turns out nothing is waived, to pay the additional sum after the hearing, basically, in front of the zoning board.
I don't see any problem with that. I mean, it's only waiting, we're only waiting 1 week anyway, right? The hearing is next week, right?
The hearing, right, so the hearing is scheduled for next week, and typically those hearings get done rather quickly. It may, I'm not sure the number of meetings, but that would be up to that board, but generally they're done very quickly. So, and it is a public hearing, obviously.
Is it that important that this be done within 1 week? I mean, we're just talking
Well,
1 week.
we've been waiting a month or so, and our foundation is in, so we did have a limited foundation permit. We would like to order the steel so that we could start construction. And a week is important, as crazy as that is.
Right, well, as long as we're not forfeiting any change, I don't see any change in fees, and it's a timing thing, the payment plan. I don't know, Bill, what do you, I don't.
The only consideration I put in there is what precedent is setting for other developments that may happen in town, but obviously the decision is up to you folks.
David?
So this is the second of 3 buildings that are going to be built there? Or is this?
This is the second, correct.
It's It sounds like it's a one-time thing. I wouldn't anticipate any other contractors for any developments coming in and saying,
I have to be honest, I don't feel comfortable setting up a payment plan or agreeing to a plan before the hearing. I'd like to see what they say in the hearing. I do know I've spoken to a couple of the ZBA members, and they're not in favor of it. Planning board, a couple of planning board members, not in favor of it, of waiving the fees. So a payment plan is a different story, but I'd like to see what they come up with first. That's my own personal opinion, entirely up to you.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say, Madam Chairman, is this is an affordable, it's a 40B project, so to the extent that there's a deference given, and I respect that you've had communications with board members that maybe we haven't, and so you know a little bit more about their decision-making process than we do at this stage. But I would point out to the board, this is an affordable Chapter 40B project. It did not ask for nor receive any tax increment financing in connection with any of these buildings, so the buildings are going to pay once they're up, and they are, the first is 100% in the taxes. The statute does allow for the board, respectfully, to consider, and part of the whole friendly 40B process is that there is some cooperation on the community's part to facilitate, and in this case, the rental of 72 units, even though 18 of them are affordable under regulations, as you know, all 72 of that are counted toward your inventory. So at the end of the day, there'll be 216 of these units, all of which, even though 75% are market rate, all of which will be counted toward your affordable housing inventory. So we think it warrants consideration, and it's unusual that we're here like a week before, but we are trying to order materials, we are trying to order parts, and we have been working closely with the Department of Housing and Community Development relative to this project. And so they support it, they support the request. And there are others, and I understand the community should wait, you'd like to wait and hear, but all we're asking for is the deference of, like, you're not changing the fees, you're not changing the structure, you're allowing us to go forward with the project and not lose anything. And a week may seem like not much, but in these times it can be so.
Very well aware of that. The cost increases, but there's no reason you can't put your orders in now and then see what ZBA says.
Well, we actually put the orders in several months ago, and it's difficult. The supply chain is difficult. We have financing that's waiting for this. We have other, the first building is fully rented, it's fully constructed, it's fully going. This building, we'd like to be able to have the permit. Under the building code, you can get partial permits, and the commissioner, can give you partial structures. So we're not asking for that. We're just saying, allow us to get the permit with the understanding as put forth in my letter that the full amount would be paid after our hearing if that's what the Zoning Board of Appeals decides in their consideration. So I don't think it prejudices the community.
the permit goes forward, I presume if the zoning board approves this next week and makes no modifications, right? I mean, you don't have to come back to us again if that goes as I think it's going to.
All right, so the differential between what you paid for your building fees for the first building, those fees were $51,610. And with the new fees, what are we actually
I think
expecting?
it'd be triple that for each building, approximately.
Well, for this building that we're talking
So,
about right now.
so triple 50 would be around 150.
150. So if we said, okay, fine, to the 51, we'll take that, then, and the ZBA does not waive the fees, then you'll come back with another $100,000 the day after?
We would need that other money to get the permit. So I think I said within 30 days of their decision. So there's a decision rendered, and I appreciate they're going to move it as quickly as possible. We've already been in front of them in good faith in an informational meeting. I'm not sure what their schedule's like, whether they want to have sometimes boards have, site visits, sometimes they look for additional information. We would then, we would obviously be responsive to that. But at least this way we'd have and it does help our financial institution to know that we have the permit. We're trying to proceed with the financing in place to, buy large quantities that are ready to be delivered to the site. And I know it seems like, to me, a week as an attorney is very short. And I think the contractors are pressed up against certain schedule delays and things like that. It would just help out tremendously. And again, I don't think it prejudices the community at all. The zoning board, you know, as Madam Chairman points out, they may be inclined not to grant the requested waiver. Then we would be in, as I said in my letter, within that timeframe.
So, I just have a question. So, we vote in favor of this. You get a building permit tomorrow, I presume, right?
Yes.
Zoning doesn't approve.
What did you
Meet
say?
on the 12th, Tuesday.
Yeah,
Zoning
they're all
doesn't-
scheduled.
Doesn't offer any kind of variance or,
Which I don't think they're going to,
Okay.
so.
I don't-
what do we have to fall back on? He has a building permit, they're moving forward, and we have a third of what the anticipated fees should have been.
That's what we were proposing, the agreement, the letter agreement.
Full payment will be made 30 days after tomorrow.
So, I mean,
Or we don't get any payment. I presume until 30 days after tomorrow, if we decide not to go with granting a 1 week stay until the zoning board meets. I don't think we're at risk. I don't think we're at risk for anything. I just don't want to do something that upsets. I talked to one of the zoning board members.
Yes,
And he didn't
yeah.
seem to think it was, you know, necessary or, you know, appropriate, you know, to even consider changing the fees, given, you know, that's going to apply.
Sure, no, I
everywhere.
understand.
So I don't upset these people. They're good people. And
No, I understand, no,
Planning board.
we couldn't, no,
Trust them and
we agree with that totally.
Right. So that was my only concern. I don't see any major problem with it. I don't know if, I didn't discuss it in any length or detail today, but it just seems to be a timing thing more than anything else. Am I misreading this or not? I mean,
But the timing on this whole project has been forever.
Right,
I mean,
understood.
it took, when do we initiate the first building permit, and then we didn't hear from anything again for what, 7 years?
Many years, yes, many years.
7 to 10 years?
Right.
So that doesn't give me a lot of confidence.
The first building is done, all 72 units fully rented. I don't know if you've been to the site lately, but all the infrastructure for the second and third buildings are in. Much of the site work is done. Institutional financing is set to go for the second building. It's a local bank, but they will not start funding unless we have a building permit. So we would like the building permit. I understand, Member Kilcoyne's, there's been communications with the zoning board, and the indication, at least at this stage, is that they're not likely to do it. We share your sentiments with the board. They've been wonderful to work with. We've had some modifications. They've been very indulgent in timeframes and things like that, as well as the state. So, but this would help us out, and again, I don't think it hurts the community. To answer Member Smith's concerns, we did propose a letter agreement, so we would sign that. If that payment wasn't made, it'd be just like any other payment, not being made, be able to cease and desist or whatever other enforcement mechanisms you have.
So I just have one question. So if we weren't here tonight, would you folks be asking for a payment plan regardless of the ZBA decision?
We asked for the payment plan
Yeah, that was the middle of June.
middle of June, so we're asking for the same thing now.
Well, I know.
We would.
So if it never got here right now, and it was just the $150,000 or so, would they be asking for the payment plan regardless?
Well,
Or you just, I know you're trying to front load it and get it going, but is
not sure. So
are they looking for, if you're trying to put up building 3 and there's not the same issue with the trying to change the potential waiving of fees, are you coming back on building 3 looking for a payment process?
no, it would be the same. It would be the same thing. So we had written a letter to your building commissioner. He, in response, he wrote a letter back to me, and he said it has been determined after review with your town council that the building department cannot lower fees. The only means of doing this would be through a modification of the schedule permit, the comprehensive permit requesting a waiver. So that was back in the beginning of May. So at that time, we requested a waiver. We've been dealing with the zoning board, requested a waiver. In the interim, when we thought, and we proposed it to your commissioner, the same thing we're proposing here, the same thing we proposed to you, can we make a partial payment in the total amount of what the building fee was charged for the first one, with the right, and we understand although they're not inclined to do it, just giving us the right to go in front of your zoning board that has the authority under the statute to waive the balance of that. That's all we're asking for. If they don't waive anything, we're gonna pay, as in my letter, within 30 days, the balance of it due. But it allows us to get going today.
So the ZBA is going to make a decision potentially as early as Tuesday,
Yes.
which is 4 business days from now.
They could, and then they're,
Or it could be extended with
But it
mutual
also,
agreement.
it also sits at the clerk's office for another 20 days, and then 30 days is when the decision actually is.
right, so there may be some time frame between when they take the vote that night and when it's reduced to a written decision filed with the clerk.
Right.
And then there may be an appeal period of that.
Yeah.
So that's why we just said 30 days. So whenever they make the decision, we'll pay the balance. They could possibly say, we'll waive some and not all. They could say, we're not going to waive any, as Chairman Cranston and Member Kilcoyne have pointed out. So, but in any event, it just gives us the opportunity to go in there. We're kind of following what your commissioner had suggested. It's not an unusual suggestion. We, in other communities, commissioners, building commissioners, sometimes enter into payment plans as far as nothing to do with contingencies, just a regular payment plan. The building permit's $150,000, you pay us 50 now, 50 later, 50 when you get occupancy. That's not unusual either, because obviously you can't use it until.
But why don't you just pay the whole 150, and then if they waive it, we'll give you the money back?
Because we don't have it.
Oh,
We don't have the 150 until we're in front of the board, and then we would be able to get more financing to be able to pay them. We're working with the state. State has some help. The state is actually paying your legal counsel on this matter, so there are some funds potentially.
got some other matters if they want to pay them for those too. So.
And that's what we're asking them. If they pay the whole thing, then we won't be asking for any future waivers at all. But I don't think I think it's a modest request, really, and I don't think you're prejudiced by it. And I know it's only a week. It was a month and a half ago that we started, trying to work towards getting here, but we would appreciate your indulgence, and I know it's not a waiver of anything that you're doing in any sense of the word of the fees themselves.
I mean, I don't see any risk. I think it's a modest request, but I certainly don't want to upset the zoning board on this.
You don't even know what they're gonna do. You talk to, both you and I and probably David, we talk to people all the time. We don't know really where they're going with this, if they haven't heard the whole presentation, which I'm assuming they have. But, so you gotta take the people out of it. What's good for the town?
Right.
And what's good for curiosity, affordable housing, 18 units, those 1-2 bedrooms.
So most of them are 2, some are 1.
What's the going rate for an affordable?
So that's set locally, and it's around, it's 80% of the median income based on a family of 4, and I think it's around 50, don't quote me, but it's around 1,500 for those units there. But again, the first building is all complete. This will help out tremendously in being able to assure some of our supplies as we're really going forward. We've been holding them up for a while, and again, I don't think the community, I don't think it prejudices the community. Our proposal here tonight, all we're saying is just allow us to go forward with the first building permit, second building permit, paying $50,000, and CBA will make its decision. If that's within their jurisdiction, I'm sure they'll consider everything.
And then within 30 days, if we don't get that additional monies, then we put a cease and desist.
Yeah, so the amount, I think what I propose is that the excess amount would be paid within 30 days of their decision, so.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. King, Mr. Finance, what do you think?
I think you leave it with the ZBA, wait a week and settle it with one department rather than 2 departments. That's my opinion. 1 week isn't gonna kill you.
Well, it's more than a week, but it's a week till they make a decision, potentially as fast as they possibly can. And you may have another, and sometimes at public hearings, they go on and there's another meeting. Sometimes they want a site visit just to kind of make sure everything seems to be moving along. So you have at least a week, and then and then I don't know, if it takes a few days for them to render a decision, they file it with the clerk, and it's not final for another 20 days. So we're now in the middle of July. If we get to the middle of August, it's extremely detrimental. And all we're talking about is the building permit. We already have a foundation permit there. We'd like to start erecting the steel. The contractors are ready. it's very harmful for us if we can't proceed forward on it. But and we're going to be very deferential to the zoning board. They've been incredibly responsive and to all of our requests and helpful.
Have you talked to Tony about this at all?
Yes.
And what's Tony's opinion?
He was the one that said that they should, perhaps, well, he doesn't have a decision to make on it, but pay the full amount and perhaps get a refund,
Hey, that's what I said.
should there be that case. But he doesn't have the authority to make a decision on that, so,
Right.
if it was any other business or development coming in, it would be, it is what it is.
But I just do want to point out, I did before, but it's an affordable housing 40B, so it's not your typical commercial project. The developer's profit, it's limited by statute.
Right.
Costs are tight, and it is an increase to your inventory, affordable housing inventory of significant magnitude.
All right, well, I mean, we can put this to a vote. One thing I would say is, and because we've done it before on different properties, nobody likes to chase after anybody for money. Which is probably the thought behind, hey, pay it up front and then we'll give it back to you when it's ready. Our employees don't have time for that. So this would be really a leap of faith on our part.
Well, I understand. We are entering into an agreement, and it's reflected in my letter, so my client would stand committed to, make sure that he fulfills his obligations under that, I'm sure. But I understand what you're saying, Matt.
So there won't be any deferral of the final payment if we go ahead with this and allow this request to go through?
Assuming no waiver, correct.
I'm assuming no waiver. I'm pretty sure it's not, I don't know, I don't think.
Right, that's correct, Member Kilpatrick.
So 30 days out, it's not going to get delayed another 30 or another 30 or another 30. I know there's chain supply things going on and everything else, but is that what the essence of this letter is basically?
Yes.
Okay. All right, again, I don't see a risk, but.
Okay, well, we need to take a vote on it. Consider taking the 51,610 up front, and then getting the other 100,000 per chance there is no waiver or discount from the ZBA for the building, which I can't see. And the other reason I can't see happening at Mr. Bavenzi is because we just approved all those fees. We just approved them. I don't even think it's been a year, so I don't see anyone changing. They worked hard to get to where they are, and we are on the same level as other communities.
No, I appreciate that. I'm not presupposing anything in front of the ZBA. So really, our request here tonight is modest, it's just to give us the time to make the presentation. And
So basically, I'm giving you
if
50.
they do not waive anything, the payment will be made in full within 30 days as set forth in my letter.
Okay, so we're basically loaning you $50,000.
Say it again.
We're basically loaning you the $50,000 to move forward. You're paying us, but we're letting 100 rather. We're loaning you 100,000. Anyway, what would you gentlemen like to do? I would entertain a motion that we approve issuing the permit at this particular fee pursuant to the ZBA's decision on July 12th.
That makes sense. Set their apple cart.
Would you stop worrying about upsetting people? I upset people every day. Do you think I care?
No, you don't care. It just bothers me sometimes, that's all. But no, all right, I think that's a fair motion. I don't think there's risk, I really don't. So I would move that we approve this request payment up front, pending zoning board of approval decision on Tuesday night with full payment, as this letter says, within 30 days.
Second?
Okay. Bill, any further discussion?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Kilcoyne, aye.
Smith, aye.
Ranson, I suppose. Aye. Can we have a copy of the packet, Mr. Bavenzi, that you prepared?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we'll see you next
And I'm
Tuesday.
appreciative of your comments, we'll make sure that they get met, satisfied.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask you one more question before you go?
Sure.
Are there more 40B units in the third building?
Yeah, so each of the buildings is
Each one?
identical. So
Okay.
each building will have 72 units, each building will have 18 affordable units. And as a result of it being rental, all 72 units, market and affordable, are counted against as affordable units on your inventory. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. You're gonna have to personally go and pick up that check, John. Huh?
I'll go with you, I
I'm
guess.
not going, you're going.
Oh, all right. That'll make
Take
me
Mr.
go.
King. Yeah, go with Pat. What is Sugar Gillies?
It's, as I understand it, she wants to make meals herself.
There is no information here,
Oh, it is
other than her license application.
yes,
That's it?
yes.
And this
then
application-
she will get, she has never, none of these are allowed to go through until they get approval from the Board of Health. So that is, I move this forward and they move it forward to the Board of Health, and after the Board of Health issues, then this is also issued.
I usually don't question a common vic license for anybody, but there's absolutely no information in here as to exactly what she's thinking, other than you obviously have talked to her and she wants to
Yes.
make meals
She's going
to
make-
sell out of her house. Yeah, can we get that in writing somewhere?
If you want.
Or was she coming in?
No, she's not coming in.
Oh. Entirely up to you, gentlemen, if you're satisfied with just using the application with no information.
A lot of, it sounds harmless enough. I don't see a major problem with this out of the house. Could possibly go on.
He's funny.
He is so funny.
He really is.
Help me out.
As I said, this would not be finalized until after the Board of Health gives her everything that she needs in order to do this. So this is just, yes, you can sell it, but it would need the Board of Health to say your kitchen is up to, the right standards, and you have all the serve safe, and you have all the other licensing that you need. This is just, like when we have people that are at the fair selling food, same thing happens. We're not responsible for worrying whether their fryers are clean and, they have all their serve safe. This is just, do you have permission to sell it once the Board of Health approves?
But it doesn't say anything here about that either.
Oh, I'm just telling you. If you
Yeah,
want-
well, as soon as she gets the okay from the Board of Health, maybe we come back and do the common vic license. I mean, I don't know about you, gentlemen.
I did look her up on Facebook. She's got quite the cookie making business, so I was kind of hoping that she was going to be here tonight with some cookies for us.
You're not supposed to take bribes.
It's under $50.
It's still a bribe. All right, so she's already selling them out of her house.
No, she had a business in Lumsden previous
Oh,
to
okay.
coming to Sterling.
Yeah, I just wish that I had more information on it. But, so does anybody else have a problem to wait until we see what the Board of Health has to say? Or do you want to just approve this common vic license?
Dave?
It'd be kind of nice to have a little more information.
Yeah.
You know, is she just making goods and selling them out of the house, or is it in fact full-fledged meals to go, or?
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know.
All right.
Would you like to table it to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Was she one that was able to come in potentially, or?
We could check.
All right, so we'll just table it to our next meeting, if you don't mind. And then back to number 3, approving transfers.
There are 2 of them here, one from the accountant expense for $60 to the accountant salary to cover a small shortfall, and the other is for $15,000 from the DPW wages to the DPW expense, and that's $15,000.
I'll move that we approve the transfer request of $60 from the accountant's expense into the accountant's salary account. And I also approve, might as well make it one motion, that we approve the $15,000 request from transfer from DPW wages for DPW expense to protect against budget shortfalls or late arriving invoices. And I know both have been, looks like, have they been signed off on by the Finance Committee? I'm sorry.
Did you talk to Chris?
Signature is not there yet, so.
Yeah, it's not there yet, so, all right,
But they will once we get ours. So.
pending approval by FinCom, so no problem with that. General year-end transfers anyways.
He's the one with the approval.
Yeah. A second that.
Kilcoyne, aye.
Smith, aye?
Krantz and I.
You.
All right, Bill, town administrator's report.
Yep. So we have some new things and some continuances of older projects. There were 2 positions posted, the planner and the conservation agent. I have 3 applications, which I'll be calling them and setting something up for next week. On the conservation agent, I'll be getting to them tomorrow. I was trying to get a good day from the folks that'll be interviewing the chair or a member of the Conservation Commission. The former agent will be assisting in that. As for the planner position, that was posted and closed on the 24th, and we have no applicants at this time, so I guess I'll be either, depending on what your folks thought is, either reposting it or looking in a different direction. We had posted it on the MMA and the Planners Association site and sent it out to the planners list serve to all the planners that were subscribed, and didn't get any, so post it with some different language if that's what we want to do, or you know, maybe we look at doing something a little bit different, you know, hoping to fill it or some version of it. Any thoughts? I also looked on the planner website, and there were, 41 positions posted, so every town is looking for one right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like every other position.
Yeah.
I don't know, do we contact certain towns that we think might share a planner with this? I mean, I don't know, I don't know if you hear that through the grapevine or not, but maybe some towns might like something like that. Might be able to share expense, and we get something out of it for the time being until
Could look into it.
until another time goes along and repost it, But right now, if there's 41 openings,
Including some towns around us, so it's not like it's, all Eastern Mass or all Western Mass or Southeastern Mass.
351 towns in the city, but I mean, I don't know, I would call some of the people you
Some of the
know.
more immediate area, yeah.
Yeah, and just see what's going on out there, you know.
Certainly do that. I didn't know what the appetite for potential sharing would be, if that's even an opportunity.
Doesn't hurt, might lead us in a certain direction, you know, there's some people we know.
We
Do you know
share,
any local towns that have a planner?
I'd have to look. And whether it's full-time or part-time, you know, obviously it's changes some things, so
That may be a struggle to get somebody local, you know.
it's entirely possible too.
are you looking for a job? You're in.
Yeah, I can start there. I know we also got a job description back from the compensation study folks for a land use coordinator, which would kind of take off some of the bylaw stuff and whatnot from me, kind of looking at that and maybe we can try and fill that versus a planner, and that way I can do some more of the, you know, higher level stuff on the, you know, whatever. You know, we could look in that direction if that doesn't pan out. I just don't, you know, I know we kind of committed to a planner to the EDC and the planning board when they were here, so I don't want to throw it out the window, but, you know.
The
not gonna
MRPC,
spend-
would they be of any assistance in something like this?
We can use them for various projects, which we've been doing anyway, so, you know, they are a planning agency, so, you know, we are one of their member towns.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess we can start that way and see what we get and come back next meeting and see what the next steps are. As usual, there are several board and committee vacancies. Feel free to apply. Anyone? Have not heard, and we won't hear for a little while on those MassWorks grants for the infrastructure down here. Nothing new there. Have not heard anything back from Boylston on that agreement for the building commissioner.
Ken? Yeah.
Of course.
Where are we on that?
I have sent them 3 versions of the, well, one they had sent, the one that we had signed, and one that I did when I was sharing a police chief out in Beckett, where the employee becomes really an employee of one town and the other one just sends 50%. I heard they had liked one more than the other. I'm not sure which one. If, you know, we could be the host town and make him the employee here, so all his time.
We already agreed to all that.
Oh, yeah.
So what's,
They didn't like the one we signed.
that's exactly what we said.
Kind of.
It's crazy.
All right, so maybe,
Their town administrator's out of the country right now, so she'll be back next
how
week.
about their board of selectmen? What? I mean, they're the appointing authority
Yeah.
through the building inspectors, that's who they
Mhm.
report to. So how about if we reach out to the chair of the board of selectmen out there and say, hey, this has been floating around, I mean, it's really not fair.
Been you know, what, several months? Half a
Several
year?
months?
7, 8?
It's been longer than that.
It's been a while. I thought last summer we were gonna have the thing done.
Yeah. So maybe reach out to the chair of their selectmen and say, you know, what else can we do to get this moving? Because it's definitely not fair to Tony to be left in limbo as far as any of this is concerned.
I agree.
So you'll take care of that?
Yeah.
Thanks, you're swell.
Obviously, we have the year-end transfers and trying to close out this fiscal year, so we don't have the warrants tonight. We should have all the paperwork tomorrow, because it was a split payroll in the holiday, so things got a little gummed up. But tomorrow, right? Ish, most likely? Yeah. As we verify things, we got our fleet schedule. Vicki and I were going through it. We have, just to make sure we're insuring all the vehicles we have correctly, and, you know, anything we have a couple that are being auctioned off, that they come off. A couple other changes we'll probably make and have our Maya rep come in and go over some stuff with us. So there's some vehicles that are gonna come off our town's insurance that have been gone or are going.
Sounds good.
And then Sherry took care of the flotation devices on the raft. I think, Mr. Mackey, do you want to talk about the beach at all? Or you want me to take it? Lucky me. So we did receive 3 proposals for the design of the landscaping there. All three of them were pretty comparable. One, there were some price things omitted, so we kind of kept that one out, and then the other two, we were able to do the permitting in-house. Mr. Mackey and Matt Morrow worked on that the other last week, right? Yeah. And so we were able to take those prices out, and so we have a call into McCarty Engineers out of Leominster. Leominster?
Yeah.
Lancaster. Leominster. They were the lowest one and the one that seemed to be a pretty comprehensive one, and once I get back to them, hear back from them and everything's good, then I'll let the other ones know that we are not in need of their services, but appreciated the proposals. So we can get at least the design going hopefully pretty soon. I was in contact with the folks at Senator Goby's office about the select board expansion and the timing of that. Obviously, the legislature's leaving session soon, so I don't know if we try and get it in there. I know they still haven't approved the budget, which is obviously going to be, you know, their focus, so I don't know that they're going to be able to approve it before they leave at the end of the month. Otherwise, we'll get it after that. So once I get some timing information from their office, I will report back. And then nothing new with the playground. We don't have a timeline on that yet. Still have to get some engineers to come out and give us a proposal for the lift and elevator over at the library. School flooring, those bids are due tomorrow at 2 o'clock, so we'll get those opened up and hopefully get them awarded and whatnot. I have one so far sealed, looking at me.
Yeah. Try not to open them when they come in
Exactly.
early.
So we'll see what comes in online and what comes in the mail tomorrow, and hopefully they're here by 2 o'clock and get some decent prices, and hopefully they can get that done this summer. Storage building, we had an engineer come out. The proposal was a little bit significantly more than what we had expected and approved with the ARPA money, so Brian and I are going to look at some other routes to see if we can get the cost down there. Peg's Pond, nothing new with that. You know, hopefully we can get it out to bid this summer. We did get the new pumps, so hopefully we can get that water cleared up a little bit. And then when we start doing the digging, Darren and the light department will kind of harden that infrastructure a little bit, since it's not great. They've fixed what they can, but you know, while we've got it torn up, get in there. We should have the construction documents for this building's roof either this week or next week. Nothing new on the 1835 septic. Once we kind of slow down at the end of the previous fiscal year, we can get the furniture ordered for the upstairs at the 1835. Nothing new with 62 and 140. Nothing new on the sidewalks on Maple Street. And I don't have anything new on the downtown revitalization. I do have a call into them to get an idea of when we're going to get the base plan so that Darren can get a timeline on getting those utilities underground. So.
Can I ask how much more the storage building was?
About double.
Really?
Yeah. That was a prefab metal building, so we're going to see if you know, a stick-built building is cheaper and whatnot. And we're going to do some of the site work. You know, we have the capability of doing that. So.
Yeah. Not surprising. Okay.
That's what it is.
Any questions for Bill?
This Maple Street sidewalks, is a site visit, was that already held, or is that?
Yep, that's already happened.
Okay, good.
So we're still hoping to get that done this construction season.
Good.
And then, David, anything for Bill?
Nothing?
A couple of PSAs for one thing. I don't know if any of you made it, but the goodbye to Lisa from the fire department, retired last Thursday.
Who did?
Lisa at the fire
Oh,
department.
yeah, I went down.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
it was probably free food, that's why you went. And then, so now we have Emily Rainford in her place, which good luck, Emily, and welcome to Sterling, or welcome back to Sterling. And there's going to be a swearing in of Erin Cullihan on Wednesday, the 13th at 6 o'clock. So that's next Wednesday, if anybody can make that.
She is our new firefighter and medic.
Right. So.
6 o'clock.
That's what I said.
You know,
And then we're also gonna do a swearing in for Andy DePietro, who we just appointed a couple weeks ago, and that's gonna be on Thursday, the 14th.
11
At
o'clock.
11 o'clock, you wanna, yeah. Boy.
Just helping out.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I did want to remind people, boards and committees, and maybe we even send out a note to this effect, that when we're purchasing things, I mean, years ago, we got into this purchase program where all the departments and committees and boards would purchase things through the town. So if you need some paper, you know, we would get it through WB Mason. If you needed paper clips, WB Mason. Frames, Amazon, whatever. But whenever you purchase anything in town, you know, try to go through us so that we're not putting out, you know, requests for monies. Also, Sterling Fair is coming up sooner rather than later. And they are still and always looking for volunteers. So if you have any time that weekend, like 10th, 11th, set up as before, and then the fair itself. So, there's always cleanup, there's setup. The setup starts actually on Tuesday before. But anyway, and hopefully they have the dunk tape, because I'm very successful at that, aren't I, John?
It was I forgot 2 weeks ago to mention this, but it was a very nice ceremony for the new breeder building at Needs in Sterling 2 weeks ago. It was about 2.5 weeks ago. And there was quite a few hundred people there. It was well attended, and they had former Attorney General Martha Coakley. They had all the local contingent, Senator Goby, Ferguson, my daughter Megan, and they do a great job. It's really a world-class organization, but I thought the best part of the whole award ceremony at the end, of the presentations and speeches, was when the executive director called out our own Patty Page and thanked her in front of everybody present for just doing a great job helping them get through the permitting and the whole process of getting that building from start to finish constructed. And it was great to see, and he also awarded one of our own from Sterling, Bennett Building. Walter Bennett was the architect on these buildings. So it was really a really great day for Sterling that day. And I thought, you know, we all know the people here work hard, and we do because we were here a lot. But a lot of people don't sometimes, and I thought that was terrific. I was right out there, and it just shows, not just Patty, but Vicky and everybody down here, the job they do, and I think that was representative of the whole group. So I want to thank Patty, and it was great to, I was able to go over and just congratulate her. So wanted to say that. And the farmers market is coming up again every Friday, so keep that in mind too.
Street Market, and thank you very much, Patty, for being such a stellar representative of the town of Sterling and our Buttrick building. The ladies are very proud of you, as we are. How about you, David? What do you got?
I just want to reiterate that all the departments are stellar in this town.
They do.
You know, I've worked in a few different towns, and in the town hall and police and fire, it's a great community, and everybody cares about their job, and it's not just a job, it's a lifestyle to most people.
It's great to have it recognized by somebody independent in an organization like that. It really is. So I think Patty ought to run for Attorney General. She should get more visibility than Coakley, who was a wonderful lady that day too.
Maybe she'll run for the Board of Selectmen someday. Or the Select Board. Okay, I'm sorry. Anything else, Mr. Mackey? Huh? Okay, you nothing? And Ms. Smith, nothing? Comma? Mr. King.
I'm all set, Maureen.
All right, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you all for coming. And with that, on that note, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, yes. Yep.
Motion made.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Coin aye.
Smith, aye.
Krantz and I. Sure, Mr. Gettens will have